And the nominees are
I love you guys.
Asas Pichadas, Desert
Oh my God! Sage is nominated for it! I can't believe that.
These are the four women that make up the vocal ensemble Sage, right after they found out that the first song they ever wrote was nominated for a Grammy.
Wait, this is not real. We're sleeping. Okay.
Their story is an important one for any musician or creator to hear.
I don't even know what to do right now.
I found out about Sage at a Patreon all hands, like an all-team meeting where the whole company was getting together on Zoom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We had different creators performing live for us, and I'd never seen Sage before. Welcome, Sage, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
But when they started singing, I got chills. Goosebumps, hair standing up, full body chills.
Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man.
It was this incredible combination of like technical proficiency on one hand and then just emotional musical bursting on the other.
Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take him.
What I didn't realize at the time was that one of those singers was Erin Bentledge. It turns out you've been seeing her for years, and so have I, because she's one of the main people doing background vocals for Pamplemousse, and she's been in a ton of our videos.
Baby, how you feeling?
What I didn't know was Sage, her group, had been nominated for a Grammy for the first song they ever wrote together. At the time, they barely knew each other and had never collaborated as a group. So they decided to take a retreat to Palm Springs to just make some music together and feel it out.
We really spent the majority of the time talking and sharing with one another and cooking together and laughing and staying up late. We didn't work a whole lot.
I even packed an extra suitcase full of recording gear, and it just sat in the corner of my room.
Was a little awkward at first. Kind of felt like a first date. But after a couple days, they decided to try and write a song together.
Maybe we should actually try writing a song, since that's what we came here to do.
Like, I was so uncomfortable. Like, I'd never written music with anyone else. I had never collaborated with anyone in that capacity.
So they were all hanging out by the pool, each one of them in their own little areas, thinking about their own ideas.
So Erin grabbed her uke and parked herself on a little chair by the pool. I think I had a notebook on the side of the pool that was getting wet and I was scribbling all over it. Erin started playing this ostinato that you hear on desert songs. We hear this tiny melody come out from Johnaye's little corner. Like, what was that?
What was that?
Johnaye, what's that melody?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
Come on, Johnaye.
Sing it again. Sing it again.
And then it just poured out.
I bet when you see the ocean, you're drawn to the strength inside the waves. But if you get caught within the ocean, the undertow will let you lose your way.
And like that, they wrote their first song together. And they named it Desert Song for obvious reasons. And they thought, let's submit it for a Grammy.
You know, technically, Desert Song qualifies for Best Arrangement, Instruments, and Vocals, so let's just submit.
What is happening right now?
I'm literally in shock. I don't know what to do.
I want you to see
You
where
guys-
the Grammy would go. It would go on this dumpster. This is where it would go.
For me personally, to go from I cannot do this to not only doing it and then to have that thing go on to receive a Grammy nomination was just, I'm actually still processing it, and it was a year ago.
But here's the thing about getting nominated for a Grammy. You might think, boom, you did it, you're done, right off into the sunset, you hit the big time. But Sage didn't have any money, so they needed to do a fundraiser to get the funds for their next record. The members of the group had full-time jobs that required their time and focus, and they had no channel to reach their audience. So here they were, having been nominated for a Grammy, and they had zero infrastructure in place to make and distribute their next record. And that's why I'm making this video. It's very important to me that the world sees that it's not just possible to be an artist, but to become an artist. Sage is at a really important time in their career as a creator. The band isn't really on the rails yet. It's kind of forming and blossoming right now. There's no label, there's no machine, there's no industry juggernaut pumping them up. They are alone. The closest thing this reminds me of is when I met Jacob Collier almost a decade ago now. He hadn't exploded yet, and I wish I had made a video back then telling his story of the choices that he made and his persistence and his tenacity of getting his music recorded and getting it out there. Sage is at that moment right now. I think they're going to be huge, and if you're a musician or if you're in a band and you're trying to put together funds and make a record, if you're trying to reach an audience, then I think Sage's story is really important. This is the story of a group of crazy, talented people at the beginning.
He's playing 4 bars, doing 2 bars of 4. Okay. 2 bars of 4/4 before the band comes in. Okay.
Want me to do like a quick mix of this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, we're recording the instrumentals for our debut Sage album right now. And I am making Halloween costumes for my children.
Are you kidding? You're gonna make that?
Yeah.
We actually pre-recorded all of our scratch vocals, and all 4 of us are going to be in the control room producing as the band is recording all their stuff. So we're just getting all the sessions set up with click tracks and vocals, and we're getting sounds and all the good stuff.
So you wait for me? Will you wait for me? Will you wait?
Something weird happened right there. Did you hear that?
I think it's so evergreen. A subtle little, like a subtle catch of that
like a
vocal moment.
E, right?
Not necessarily just
How you doing?
Less like.
My ultimate dream since I was a kid was to have a group of singers that could sing these really dense clustery chords that were in my imagination. Hearing this group sing a 9 chord, just like a major tri with a 9 in it, it's like one of my new favorite feelings.
Is that mic okay?
Yeah, it
Like
should be
kinda-
fine.
is
Maybe
that
just a
okay?
tiny bit higher, if that's okay.
One to high?
The plan was for me to play a little bit of something, and then later I think that the group will be decorating what I do. Yeah, I just want to have this record to listen to on repeat for myself. The fact that I'm here recording a little bit and hanging around is just a bonus.
A celebration.
What are you saying?
Jacob might be on our fucking record.
Why are you whispering?
Because I don't want him to know that I'm a fangirl. So much in the Sage fashion, we will be constructing our own homegrown studio in Joshua Tree, in the desert, where it all began.
So what you want to do is you want to get like a couple mic stands.
Yeah.
And then flip the thing so it's like that.
Yeah.
And clip blankets on them.
So the goal here is to get a rhythm bed, so the final performance is from the band, and then when we're together in Joshua Tree, we'll just be recording just vocals. So spending 2 weeks together in the desert, really figuring out like how the vocal parts go.
Welcome to my recording studio / bathroom.
There's the tub.
That's a toilet.
Since this is a VRBO, we can't physically pin anything or hammer anything into the walls.
So we tried to get creative with some stuff, like creating our own sound panels, which is now, as you can see, falling apart.
Call us crazy, but we are trying like heck to record vocals for 15 tunes in 2 weeks.
Things are falling apart. We don't know how to do this thing over there. We didn't have the right chord for something.
The problem is these C-stands aren't as stubborn as I would like them to be.
Okay.
What's going on?
We setting the mood, honey.
I'm in my studio.
Look at it.
Our studio. It's cozy.
This is microphone bachelorette right here.
I've never experienced this kind of relationship that is willing to like, we're jumping off the cliff together.
In the pandemic, we were fortunate in that we kind of got a chance to get our recording chops in shape.
Knowing that our fans were waiting for music videos and demos and new arrangements caused us to set goals for ourselves and, recording and producing music from our homes.
I can't help it. If I wanted to, I wouldn't help it. Even if I could, I can't help it.
Each of us started to dabble in video editing. Over the course of the pandemic, I think I produced and edited 4 Sage music videos, one of which is a full-length 7.5 minute stop animation music video. So just kind of allowing ourselves to enter into a space that's I don't know how to do that, but what if I did know how to do that?
I've also talked to plenty of engineers at this point, plenty of honest engineers who will say you do not need studio level booths and sound isolation and all that stuff. You don't need that to get a good recording. A good mix engineer can deal with a pretty broad range of quality. There's an engineer that I was working with, this pretty prolific vocalist. We'll send him a lead vocal on a USB microphone, and he's like, it's fine. I know what to do with that. So once I heard people like him say stuff like that, I was like, we can just do it ourselves. And I love Logic. Everything I need is in Logic, so.
I can't help it. If I wanted to, I wouldn't help it. I can't help it.
That sounds amazing. One take wonder.
Because it's a 4-women vocal ensemble, we track every single person's part twice and then pan them right and left. For 15 songs in a studio costing $3,000 a day, probably times 25 days, it's just not feasible. So instead of paying a sound engineer to just be the person to hit spacebar and rewind and punch again,
here we go, girl.
Look, we know how to do that.
Okay, moving right along, ma'am.
But the beauty of doing something DIY is that this album is 100% your vision. The first record that I made, I don't own the masters to. And that's an album that continues to be the best-selling album that I've ever made on Spotify. And I've never made a penny.
I kissed my penny and I threw it in. I pray I'd keep my soul.
Being in this group, I'm just I know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Within Sage, I have this safe space to really go to the edges of what I'm capable of, and I know that I'll be appreciated for it, and it makes me feel more stable to try things that are outside of my comfort zone, because if it doesn't work, I at least know that I have this space.
So will you wait for me? Will you wait for me?
My goal for the Sage album is just what would happen if some young female musicians were oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can self-produce my own music. Live stream happening in 3 minutes. Welcome everyone to night of the Sage debut album recording residency.
We really want to uplift and empower those who may have all of the things at their fingertips but just don't realize what they can do with all of those things.
Aaron and Amanda are sort of functioning as producer engineers, recording and engineering in 2 different sound booths.
The power is in the hands of the artists at this point. We're learning you don't need a record label to be nominated for a Grammy.
I know it's just as hard. Green.